Welcome to an Underworld Amusements Variety Hour excerpt. I'm your host, Kevin I. Slaughter, and what follows is an excerpt from a conversation with a guest that has appeared on the podcast. I mean, sure, there's some merit to the saying that one man's trash is another man's treasure, but there is such a thing as skill, and what frustrates me is that when the work of a naive mountain woman who sews quilts like she's lost an eye and the other doesn't work so damn good is hung in museums in New York by some douchebag who probably makes deliverance jokes on his way up the mountain to deliver her check from the gallery. I mean, it makes good PBS television, but she's hardly a skilled quilter, much less an artist along the lines of Bruegel or Caravaggio, much less a Chris Ware, or even the anonymous painters who did advertising illustrations for Ford in the 1940s.
Well, I do know what you're saying. I think that this is all extremely subjective stuff that clearly can be argued 1,000 different ways by 1,000 different people. And I mean, I think this really comes down to personal choice, artist's intent, and other things too, like supply and demand and public acceptance and popularity. And I mean, so many factors play into this thing. You know, I mean, the shittiest artists in the world may want to be publicly accepted and want to be artists and want to exhibit their work and want to be, embraced by the public. But if their work is shitty, then they're probably not going to have a really good run at this thing.
Well, I see what you're saying, but I mean, some of the most popular artists have been pretty shitty.
I was going to mention that too. That's sort of like, that goes along with, the public acceptance and supply and demand, and for some reason or other that we oftentimes logical people can't explain is why someone like, I don't know, Mark Kostabi or somebody like is a multi-millionaire when he doesn't even, when he admits to not even painting his own work, and all these crazy things. Again, subjective stuff. I don't know. Really the main factor here, what everything really has to boil down to is personal choice. And, with art making of any kind, you either want to do it or you don't. And if you do, then you do it, you fight for it, you live for it, you die for it, and all these things. And regardless of the outcome, I mean, I don't know anybody, certainly amongst our peers or, close friends or close individuals that are artists that are really very well off. I mean, everybody suffers. Everybody's suffering. Nobody's rich. Nobody's comfortable. Everybody's suffering, and we don't have to do this stuff. I mean, we could choose to do other things, and but we don't, and we're compelled, for whatever reason, to take the left-hand path on this stuff and to take the more difficult road. And, again, regardless of the outcome, either gamble on it to see if we can survive by it or not, or whatever the case may be, whatever the outcome may be, we're willing to take that risk. And, of course, a lot of us do our thing. We create our work, and we have regular jobs, and we divide our time that way, and that's fine and good too. It's just we do this stuff because we're compelled to do it, because it makes up part of our lives. It makes up part of our personalities or our individuality or whatever it is. And all this work, like if you look at all the work in the catalog for this exhibition, I mean, all this work is so drastically different, and we all have these like extreme, bizarre, radical compulsions, and we do them because we feel compelled to do them. And that's really what this boils down to. If if artists are not compelled to create, then they won't create. And whether that's accepted publicly or not, I don't think anybody, particularly in this group, in this exhibition, really particularly cares very much about public acceptance. I would wager to say that most of the people involved in this exhibition, even in the face of great adversity and even antagonism, wouldn't cease doing what we're doing. And we probably all experience public antagonism from time to time with what we do. Well, none of these people in this exhibition do very popular work, do work that is easily digestible or comfortable or anything like that. That's what makes this art satanic. And if we're allowed to use that word, I don't know. But this is satanic artwork. So, satanic artwork has to be very personal. There's no way. I think, a term like popular satanic that's like an oxymoron. There's no such thing as popular satanic, right? So.
I guess I'm going to have to get into semantics a bit. In an overt manner, I would agree that satanic art would not be popular art. Even at its height, Marilyn Manson, whether you consider him a Satanist creating popular art or a popular artist using Satanism, he didn't get the respect that even Eminem has received when NPR did some fawning pieces on his poetic artistry. I think as a topic that this could deserve its own segment itself, if not a whole episode. But to engage in this as briefly as possible, I'd qualify the phrase with the terms esoteric and exoteric satanic art. An exoteric satanic art would be one that used the trappings of Satanism, but the esoteric could kind of take any form. But the motivation would be philosophically satanic. It wouldn't need to be recognizable as being satanic by someone unfamiliar with the philosophy. For an illustration of how something is satanic but not satanic, to use an analogy, I suppose, a Machiavellian would never cop to being a Machiavellian. He may tell you he was a humanist or a Christian or anything other than a Machiavellian, unless it was in his ultimate benefit to tell you he was a Machiavellian. It's the difference between just being a liar and applying your philosophical principles. We all lie. All of us are liars. I'm a fucking liar. It's more of an issue about motivation. So, in a sense, a popular artist could be a Satanist, and his work could be fully within the framework of the philosophy if his motivation was not to be creating great art per se, but to create a greatly consumed art, thus giving him reward or influence in other ways. You may then consider him a craftsman instead of an artist, but that's one way how I'd see there being such a thing as popular satanic art.
Absolutely. Definitely something to be said for that. That's very much a real idea.
Thank you for listening. I ask approving viewers to review, vote, favorite, and repost on your favorite social networking and bookmarking site. Find more online at underworldamusements.net.